back to another episode of our Kings related podcast, wherever you may be, and this post game recap of the Kings beatdown in Boston, Massachusetts on this Friday evening. Thank you as always for joining me for another edition of the show. If you enjoyed this podcast, make sure you give us a follow on Apple Podcasts or whatever your favorite podcast platform is. And we are available on YouTube. So please hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up, leave a comment down below. That will be much appreciated. On a second night of a back-to-back, the Kings were not ready to play at all tonight as they suffered the 8th consecutive loss as they were blown out by the Celtics on the road, 112-90, a season low for the Sacramento Kings. And Sacramento in this game never recorded more than 27 points in any quarter as they shot a season low 37% from the field in this game. Meanwhile, you had Boston, who had 72 points by halftime, and they shot 71% in that first quarter. And the Kings sort of improved their defense in that second half, but it had little to no impact as the Kings offense never came around. Zach LaVine led with 17 points, and it really wasn't anything to be around because the Boston Celtics, they were up double digits early, and they never looked back in this game. At the end of the first quarter, Boston was up 40-25. You had zero defensive effort from Sacramento. Zach LaVine led the team with 9 points. After the first, Nique Clifford had 5 points, and the Kings bench were out. And the Kings in that first quarter, and going into halftime, it was more of the same in that second quarter. The Kings got stomped by the Celtics. It was 72-46 going into halftime. Zach LaVine had 13 points. Peyton Pritchard he outscored the Kings 2 top scores on his own accord. Just more of the same by the Celtics. End of the third quarter, Max Raynaud hit a jumper to beat the buzzer. Kings still trailed 89-66 heading into the final frame of the quarter. LaVine led after 17 points, 5 points and 11 boards for Max after 3 quarters. It was just more an ugly performance from the Kings through the first 3 quarters. In the second half, if you want to count it as a win, the Kings did outscore the Boston in the second half, 47-40 in the second half. But the Kings in this one, on the second night of a back-to-back, they weren't ready to play on this Friday night as Boston ran this team off the floor from the tip-off, and it was all Boston as they sent Sacramento to now 0-5 on this road trip and their 8th consecutive loss. When you have to double team and triple team Peyton Pritchard, it's probably time to reevaluate your game plan if you're the Kings, because the rotations, this roster, and no disrespect to Boston, but the Sacramento Kings allowed Pritchard to run circles and run laps around them from the get-go. It was too easy for him in this game. The offense is a problem for the Kings. And if you've been watching the games all season, this isn't brand new information. If you've been watching all season, it's just a matter of fact. The Kings came into this game tonight 29th in offense, and somehow they have gotten worse. This team is broken, and the deadline can't come here soon enough to really start this rebuild. And as this team, tonight, as I mentioned, a season low, 37% shooting from the field, and they only dished out 19 assists in this game. And again, the only guy that really got it going tonight for the Kings was Zach LaVine, who got moved back into the starting lineup tonight. And again, the only guy who could hit a damn shot. And 17 points, 5 for 9 shooting, and 4 rebounds. Nique Clifford, after an off night last night in Philadelphia, he was better and back to the bench tonight for Nique. And after the last 3 games starting, I thought he had a solid performance tonight in Boston. He knocked down 3 of 7 from 3 for 15 points, grabbed 3 rebounds. I thought he moved well off the ball and relocating for his open looks. Really solid game. Nice bounce back for the rookie in this game. Maxime Raynaud grabbed some rebounds in this game, and I thought he had a rough start to this game in Boston, especially in the pick and roll game, but I thought he recovered very nicely as the game came around, and he got the start in place of Sabonis, who was out, and 14 points and 14 rebounds. Another double-double for the rookie. That is his 7th this season for Max Raynaud. And the Boston Celtics, they were absolutely feasting in the pick and roll. And Dylan Cardwell came in, and he absolutely made a difference for the Sacramento Kings. And he is a defensive animal. And once Dylan figures out how to control his fouls and not pick up the cheap ones, he can be a huge contributor to this Kings team going forward as they rebuild this team. And tonight, Dylan, 8 points, 8 rebounds, and 2 blocks in this game. But the Kings never had a chance in this game, and the Boston Celtics ran laps on this team tonight. And this is a Boston team coming off a disappointing game in their last outing against Atlanta, and they absolutely took out their frustration on the Sacramento Kings tonight. And Kings, they finish up this road trip on Sunday evening in our nation's capital against the Washington Wizards. So we'll see what happens in that game. The Kings did beat Washington earlier this season in Sacramento, so we'll see. But it wasn't the night for the Kings on the second night of a back-to-back. But the rookies played well in this game. But other than that, nobody else played well for the Kings in this team. And we did kind of see a summer league starting lineup for the Kings late in this game. And we saw a Devin Carter signing who's only played 108 minutes this season, and he attempted to slow down the reigning 6th man of the year. And it's also worth noting that Devin played his college ball in the New England area at Providence, and not exactly successful in doing so by slowing down the reigning 6th man of the year Devin, 2 fouls, 1 turnover in less than 4 minutes before he headed back to the bench. But it's safe to say he wasn't successful. So, and he couldn't contain Pritchard all game long. And so Kings lose. They are now 12-38 on the season. And with the Pelicans win tonight over the Grizzlies, the Kings are now the worst team in the entire NBA. So, is that a win? That's a mini win as a Kings fan, because you don't want to win many more games this season. Because if you're Sacramento, you want to be in the top 3 in the draft lottery, because the top 3 teams each have a 18% chance of getting the number 1 overall pick in June's draft. So Kings lose 12-38 on the season, and they finish up the road trip in Washington on Sunday evening, and we will be back for another post-game recap following that game. And if you enjoyed this podcast, make sure you give us a follow on Apple Podcasts or whatever your favorite podcasting app is. We are a video podcast on Spotify and on YouTube, so by all means, please go catch the video feed on over there, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button, the thumbs up. That would be much appreciated. But until next time, thank you as always for joining me on the Kings related podcast for this post game recap. And as always, see you Sunday following the Kings and the Wizards, and go Kings.